Welcome to this week's podcast. We are here with Lee Black, who, well, I'm just going to let you tell us because you're in our world. You're in the recovery world, and personally, as well as um, you're a facility owner, just like myself. Correct?
Not personally in recovery myself, but
Okay.
firsthand experience with family members, loved ones. Very touched by this. Have been through this, losing personal friends of mine to opioid addiction. But yes, in the recovery space, owning an outpatient opiate use disorder facility here in Charlotte, North Carolina, heavy with Medicaid. About 95% of our clients are Medicaid that we serve. So very, very touched by this.
Well, let me ask you this, Lee. You mentioned the Medicaid piece. Here at Beacon, we we kind of, I don't know, we kind of funneled into the Medicaid world. We didn't think that we wanted to do Medicaid for the obvious reasons. A, it's Medicaid, and they've got all their rules and regulations. It's very difficult to navigate those waters. And B, everybody knows you're not going to make any money with Medicaid. But obviously, we become a Medicaid facility. Did you get to Medicaid the same way, or did you know going in you were going to do Medicaid and Medicaid was going to be your mainstay? Or is Medicaid your mainstay?
So it is our mainstay, and it's something that I went into knowing that it was going to be a struggle and knowing kind of the disadvantages that you have, stereotypically, and also, with the kind of that population that you serve. There's a lot of stigma, bias, judgment around that. But I didn't want that to influence my decision. It's actually one of the reasons that propelled me to get into that phase. Having lost friends and speaking to family members and people that have been impacted by that. There's so many people that I've talked to that said there's just not resources out there for people that want to help those that are disadvantaged. And I didn't start my facility to make money. I did it to help people. And I said, as a mission, okay, if those people are going to typically be underserved, be stigmatized, judged, not even that they have an addiction, just that they have Medicaid, then that's going to be a population that I really want to go in and try and impact in a positive way.
Uh, I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. You know, uh, these people that are on Medicaid, oftentimes they are in and out of jail. They don't have any money or very little money. And I don't know, you tell me how it is in your neck of the woods, but up down here, they're the people on Medicaid, the criminals, addicts, they're they're looked down on as less than. Are you getting the same thing up there as well?
Yeah, I mean, so when I look at it as a whole, there's a lot of stigma. There's a lot of preconceived notions, right? There's just stereotypes. And the funny thing is, the more I got into this, the more I realized they couldn't be farther from the truth or from
Exactly.
what most people expect, right? And I've worked with people that, have Medicaid that, still are actively trying to work. They're actively trying to make a better life for themselves. It's just a resource that's available that really helps. I've met other people that, you know, have asked me that, I can't work, I can't do this, and I felt that they were kind of taking advantage of the system a little bit, and I've seen people that, I grew up with a single mom. I've seen people that have, a mother that has 4 kids that can't work, that's trying to raise kids that has Medicaid. So
Yeah.
I felt that I've seen the wide range from really doing what it's intended to do and how it can really, really help people that didn't try and seek it out or say, I want to take the easy way out or the handout.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
I also have
Yeah.
seen people on that end where I'm like, you're kind of the reason people taking advantage of it, why there might be a stigma or a bias around it.
Yep.
And that's really impacted my opinion on it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what you just said, I mean, obviously with any program that's out there made to give, we'll call it government assistance, you're going to have the hacks, right? They're going to, figure out a way to manipulate. I mean, let's say, take your food stamps, your food stamps card, right? And instead of buying food for your kids, you're out doing other things. You're going to have those people. But for me, it doesn't take away from the actual individuals, right? That really need this.
Right.
right? That are genuinely saying, "Golly gee, I need this to
Mhm.
live." And for our perspective, I mean, I've got, I'm sure you're looking at this the exact same way. I mean, there are people out there that that are being either court ordered to get treatment, and oftentimes the Medicaid folks are the ones in and out of court, and but moreover, and for me, for us, it's a fun twist when when somebody says, well, you know, the people that are being court ordered, they don't really want it, and I get that. But what I enjoy doing at Beacon, and I'm sure you're the same up in North Carolina. Oh, by the way, what's the name of your facility in North Carolina for the folks that are listening?
Ascend Health.
Ascend Health.
Ascend
Um,
Health.
Ascend Health. So, what about the folks at Ascend? Am I saying that right?
Mhm.
Ascend
Ascend.
and Beacon that are, yes, being court ordered because they're coming because they're on paper,
Mhm.
but then you flip them, right?
Right.
That
That's where the
happens.
magic happens, right? That's where the magic happens. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of times as a business owner, regardless of what industry it is, right? There you have struggles. You have times where you're putting in a lot more than other people. That's just being a business owner, right? The first one to turn the lights on, the last one to leave, cleaning the toilets, everything else. But
Yeah. Yeah.
my biggest story that I can tell you is that really kind of changed my perspective on everything and really helped me realize this is what this is what God put me on this earth to do and to really help with. Is I had a gentleman came to me that was on Medicaid, that continuously was always looked down on, was not put in the situation that he was in because he said he just wanted to start doing heroin or start doing drugs. He was in a car accident and was prescribed medication and legally went to his doctor, did everything, loaded up on pain medicine, and then doctor cut him off one day after his treatment was over. Well, his treatment wasn't over because he was never tapered correctly, and then basically found anything he could to continue working and continue with his job, blue collar job. So he wasn't taking oxycodone or hydrocodone from the streets because he wanted to enjoy being high or doing drugs. He did it because that's the only thing he knew that could help him get to work and continue to work and live a normal life. And we worked with him and continued to improve, was able to get private insurance and get promoted at work and stop using pills that he was buying on the street that ended up actually having fentanyl in it. And then seeing him just completely transform. And then one day he brought his father in. And I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", 225. I mean, I'm not small. And this man was a big man. And he came up and his father came up and he just gave me a hug, just gave me a bear hug and said, you helped me give me my son back. And it's one of those where, everyone can have their own opinions. And when I saw this man, I was like, this is a big, intimidating man. I'm a big guy. He's even bigger. I'm kind of intimidated. But in that moment, he just completely broke down and said, you helped give me something that I never could have gotten or achieved. And my strongest stronger now because of this. And it's like, I was just a tool in a tool belt for him to achieve that. But that to me in that moment said, I'm not just helping people, come see a doctor for 20 minutes for a session or come for a day and do all that. Like there's so many more in people that I'm impacting that I never thought I'd be able to have a relationship with or connect with. And they're literally now with open arms, just accepting me as part of their own family because of what we're able to do. And it was just incredibly powerful.
It's interesting because as you're sharing this story, obviously we all have in this world, we all have stories. Um, and I tell people, I've had a lot of really fun emotions throughout the course of my life, a lot of good times, right? Um, my daughter being born, just a lot of really fun stuff. Okay. But there isn't an emotion that I have that compares to what you just described, right? When somebody comes to us in, we'll call it state A, because they're in darkness, um, and uh, and then they go through. And look, that guy you just described, the son that was in treatment, I already know because I live it the same way. It wasn't easy, right? There were some difficult times where this was tough. So for everybody that can hear us share these stories, don't think it's just going to be, rose petals and peaches and ice cream. It's going to be very difficult. However, that emotion that you experienced gives me goosebumps, and I'm sure it does you as well, even thinking about that, because that's where the magic is, right?
Yeah.
For me. And going back to the folks that are in fact court ordered, that are doing it because if they don't do it, they're going to go to jail.
Mm.
And so they're not doing this, coming to treatment because they want to. They're doing it because they have to. However, another magical moment or magical moments for me is when those people flip, right? And it's almost like a light switch going off, right?
Like this is something they
And
just weren't
looking,
expecting, right? It's like you showed them how cool the other side of the pillow is. It's like
yeah,
I had no idea. Wow, wow. It's like they were in a constant state of, we've talked about this a little bit before, where it's, the recidivism rate nationally is just so high, right? And that's just kind of like that's become their habits, right? Where I'm just going to do this and
yeah.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and now, with Ascend and obviously with Beacon, you're able to come in and say, this is what's possible. This is the other side of the pillow. Like, this is what's really possible. And just seeing that aha moment.
Well, it's the light. It's very interesting. I've got a gal. Her name is Morgan. Um, just a delightful human being. She came to Beacon for treatment, court ordered. She's on paper, um, and she did flip. Now, while she's in treatment at Beacon, she gets a job over at the UPS store right around the corner. I love UPS. They just don't pay their employees very well, but she's been over there and she's been clean for just over 2 years. So I've had our staff reach out to her and offer her a job. She starts Tuesday next.
That's beautiful.
And oh yeah, and I actually went into a UPS. I had to overnight a document yesterday, and she sees me and the light that's coming out of her, and she reminds me of a sunflower. I mean, she's just so full of life, and so grateful that now she has the opportunity to come work here at Beacon. And those are the moments. And you mentioned this guy, but you also mentioned his father, and that's the thing that I want to really touch on as well. Everybody thinks, or a lot of us, when we don't know, that the only person that's really suffering through this addiction issue is the person with the addiction, right? And they got dads, moms, husbands, children, right? The ripple that we get to create with these individuals, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, can you speak to a little bit about that as well and your thoughts on the ripple that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's when what I always talk about is when you see like a wave at the beach, right? And then you can sit far back and look, right? And it's just a wave. It's just a wave, but there's so much more. There's an undercurrent that pulls you in. There's so much more at play than just something that's an individual, right? Someone that is coming to treatment. What's their story? Who helped them get there? Was it a family member? Was it their first time, their second time, their fourth time, their fifth time?
Yeah.
Maybe they go somewhere else that they've never been. There's just always so much, it's like in the movie Shrek. We're like, yeah, we're gonna get deep. We're gonna peel back the layers of the onion. There's always so much, and being able to see when my appearance as the one who was answering the phones, scheduling people, I knew my clients, our clients by a first name basis. I didn't know any of their family members. I just always saw that every single day, just as an individual. So when he brought his father here, I talk to family members all the time, but it's just being actually right there in front of me, not on the phone, just really helped bring it to light too. And I never once thought about in that moment, right? Well, what does your dad think about this? It was more like I'm just worried about him.
Yeah.
And he knew my name. I had no idea who he was. He came up and said, I'm his dad, and then he called Lee. And so he knew me. So it was this person knew who I was and knew his son's story and knew how we were helping him get there. And it was like, there's so much more at play. And what we can play as the facility owners um, really speaks volumes because treating people well, treating people the right way, our clients know that, their families
Yeah.
know that. And that's why
Yeah.
people continue to come back.
Yeah. So, Lee, You have no idea what I'm about to do right now. And I really didn't know I was going to do this until we started, talking. But there's some things that I really think that are important. That if there's somebody that is, sitting wherever they are when this podcast gets aired and they're watching this, because you said some things a minute ago, and they're the exact same thing that we do here. I remember when I first started this process, of a scene in a movie came to me from Field of Dreams, and he hears the whisper, "If you build it, they will come." And now, for me, that's the way Hollywood had to depict the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost telling us internally. And that was said to me as well. If you do this the right way and don't make it about the money, which so many people in your world and my world do make it about the money. And you said a minute ago that this isn't about the money, and it isn't, because you and I both know that the real pay that we're going to receive is not on this side of the veil, it's on the other side, right? When we get to be involved, I guess, in receiving those emotions from the individuals, not just the people that came through treatment, like the young man you described, but his father. And so the goal here with your facility and my facility is to love people and to do everything in our power to assist them in this part of their journey to bring them back to the light. Now, all that said, I'm gonna kind of throw you a curveball.
Okay.
And well,
I like the baseball references. I love the Field of Dreams and curveball. I'm a
yeah,
baseball
well,
guy, so I'm about it.
I'm, oh yeah, you are a baseball. So, I remember, I remember calling you out on that, and you left your desk and, slam dunked me. And for those of you that are wondering, I mean, you can look in Lee's office and you'll see some baseballs back in, so he is a baseball fan. But um, how did I meet this guy, Lee? So, and I'm just going to say it in my world, with the vendors that I deal with, more oftentimes than not, people are full of shit, right? They just are, especially people that do what you do, in the sense that, no, Lee doesn't just own a facility in North Carolina, an outpatient facility. And given the how busy I am, it blows me away that you have time to do what you do, because I am on Facebook looking for my Facebook ad one morning at, I think, 5 o'clock, and I come across this. I come across this ad that says, "Hey, if you own," I don't remember the exact words. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Lee. But
Yeah.
this ad says, "Hey, if you own a facility and you're looking to basically, at the end, paraphrasing, if you want more people coming into your facility, we will guarantee you." And I'm like, "Ah, whatever. Okay, I'll bite. Sure. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I could spend a few minutes filling out this nonsensical application, because
Yeah.
how many times have I done that before? And how many times have I had people in we'll call it marketing world, that have said to me, "I'm all that in a bag of chips." I mean, I've heard it, and yet I did. And tell me a little bit about that company, Lee. What company am I referring to right now?
You're talking about my second baby, outside of my
Yeah.
first, who's 15 months old. He's 15 months old, but my other baby is my digital media company, Antilles Digital Media, that started from Ascend Health. And it kind of grew organically, had no intention of ever starting a digital media agency. But through my work with Ascend Health, starting that, kind of, I like to say we kind of set a standard in Charlotte. We have no upfront fees. We have the lowest cash price of anyone else. We accept Medicaid, private insurance, no stigma, no bias. And we also were able to appear at the top of Google, leveraging websites and no paid ads, just to help more people. And I kind of implemented that. And through that work, I made a lot of connections working with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, helping them with their inmates when they come in, and then when they're released, helping them find programs that can accept Medicaid, kind of what we talked about earlier, just knowing that demographic. Working with some court systems, working with other facilities in the area, showing them, hey, here's how you can get results similar to what we've gotten. Here's how you can market yourself correctly. When I say correctly, is not just appear like everyone else, right? Show yourself, show your true value, show you the reasons why you do what you do. I'm working with business owners like yourself that have a real reason other than money for why they're out there staying up light, burning the candle at both ends sometimes, really out there helping people. And we just started working with a couple different offices, just very small, just in my private time. I did some consulting. And when COVID hit was when things really took off, because large facilities could not send out business development reps. They couldn't have these large meetings, and they basically relied on their website. So many mom and pop family owned substance abuse facilities, drug rehab facilities, they couldn't compete with the Florida or the California facilities that would overspend. And at that time they were struggling. And I got a call. I was at my office because we ranked number one overall for, say, Suboxone, for Medicaid, for everything else online. People just naturally Googled Charlotte because it's the largest city between Atlanta and DC. And I remember his name, Mike Elkins was his name. He owned a
Say that name
facility.
again.
Mike Elkins.
Okay.
He owned a facility, Mountain View Recovery. It was in Asheville, North Carolina. And he called and he said, I heard about you from someone else. I saw you online. At this time, I was running no ads. I just had the website there. Again, I had no intention of ever starting a digital media agency. And he said, I help people. Both of my sons dealt with opioid addiction. I opened this facility to help people that are struggling. I am paying a digital vendor right now a lot of money, and I need help. I need what you have. And I said, Mike, I don't care what you're paying. I'll match it, whatever you're paying, and I guarantee results better than that, or I'll refund you your money.
Right.
Said,
Hold
okay.
on a sec. Okay. Now, I just want to make sure that everybody understood what just was said. If this is, this is Lee. If I don't do what I say I'm going to do, I will give you your money back. That's what I heard you say
Yes, sir.
just now. And so I've kissed a lot of frogs with all my vendors. I've kissed a lot of frogs in the media world. Nobody's ever said that, and they won't say that. And the reason they won't say that is because they cannot, and they cannot say that because they, of course, don't bring the goods. They don't. Now, somebody, may be wondering, well, wait, hold on a sec. This is a Beacon of Light podcast. Why on earth would Tony be doing this? Well, we talk about what our guests want to talk about, but I know, and I'm not saying this because, you're on my podcast. I'm saying it because it's the truth. And by the way, I got a call from some guy in California asking me about you. We'll talk about that later. And I told him the truth about you. And so if you're a facility owner, I don't really care if it's an outpatient, residential, or detox, whatever the case may be. And you're saying to yourself, like so many of us, myself included, golly gee, Wally, I really wish I could find somebody that A, knows what they're doing, B, gives a shit, right? Because that's it, right? Caring about other individuals, right? That's what we're here for. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to, in my world, do everything we can to assist other people in their journey, right? Oh, and by the way, if you happen to call Lee with the number that he's about to give to you, I'll let him tell you what his prices are. But I can tell you right now, he doesn't charge a lot of money,
I'm fair.
and you don't.
I'm
I
fair.
think you're fair. You're not going to hear me complaining.
I can
And
charge you more.
speaking, you could,
I'm just kidding.
and we have a contract, so I'll hold you to the. But
That's not fair. That's not fair. Just
well,
like
I
what you do,
know,
what you do, right? You do what you do.
I
I'm
know.
not about it for the money. No matter how are we going to help people? How can we put our head on our pillows at night and feel good about ourselves?
So
Every
you
single
guys
time.
get to know who's hearing my voice. Um, every time I've called Lee, he has returned my call. And by the way, what I'm saying to you right now, whoever can hear my voice, this does not happen. It just doesn't. He returns my texts. He answers, and he's always there. I mean, oftentimes you have stopped what you're doing, and I'm thinking, I remember one morning I don't know, it was early, and of course I'm in, Utah, you're in North Carolina, but it was early for me. I think I was on the way to the gym. I don't remember, but it doesn't really matter because what I said to you in a text is, "Hey, can you talk? Can we make it?" Oh, that's what I said. Can we schedule an appointment at some point during the day? thinking that you're going and within, oh, I don't know. And I'm not saying this is going to happen every single time that I reach out to you, but it's happened more oftentimes than not where you're like, I got a few minutes and we end up talking. So if you're looking for a company that's going to treat you fairly, that is going to genuinely, and by the way, before I say this, I'm going to say that I mean, you're not going to work with just anybody, are you? Or do you care who they are? Huh?
I actually do authenticate clients that do call. I get a lot of people
Yeah.
that call that do not have the morals that I do.
Okay.
Not saying that I'm holier
Not
than
a
thou,
saint. I
but
understand.
we all know that there are programs out there that do like to take advantage of people,
Uh,
that not to like kind of like to skirt the rules a little
I,
bit.
yeah.
And my whole thing is I am here to help people that genuinely, actively care about their clients, care about
Yeah.
making the world a better place. And I can tell you that just speaking with clients and just knowing the lingo, knowing everything else, um, we want to work with everyone that really wants to help. So if you are the type of person, just like you, Tony, or a lot of the other clients we work with that are
The
always
real deal.
putting clients first. Yep. But if you are putting clients first, you're doing
Yeah.
things at Beacon that I've worked with over 100 facilities. You're doing things like checking the recidivism rates. You're doing things going so far above and beyond. I know I told you this when I talked to you, but I wanted to work with you. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to help you with what you're doing. That's why when I work with clients, I don't look at them just as a digital vendor. I look at them as a growth partner. I look at them as someone who, when we work together, your business is my business. From all the
Yeah.
facilities that we work with, we have close to 20,000 people and families. We talked about that earlier, right? It's not just individuals, it's also families
Yeah.
that we're helping in one way or another or connected with in some way. So for me,
Yeah.
this isn't just a job. It's me helping others, help them and help others in their family. And that to me is the
Yeah.
biggest mission I can have.
Well, so I want to make sure that we all understand what's happening here. Um, if you're not in it to win it for the right reasons, there's a good chance that Lee is not going to work with you, right? Right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not trying to be, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I'm just telling the truth, right? You got to be in it for the right reasons. And I think the determinator of who gets to work with you is the person that's done this podcast, right? Because everybody gives an energy. We are all light. We are all energy, and I know we can feel each other's energy. So, but if Lee does decide to work with you, you won't go wrong. And the fun thing for us is that we are getting really close to doing some things on a national stage, which is I remember a conversation with you and I, where you asked me as one of our very first conversations, where you're like, "Well, look, what is your end?" And I tell you, but I'm kind of a little bit worried. I mean, I know how to run this facility, and we are very well versed in how Medicaid works and how to bill Medicaid and the ins and outs of a day-to-day operation here, but I've not really don't have any experience doing anything nationally with reference to lots of places at the same
Right.
time.
Right.
And I remember you telling me, "Oh, like almost like I'm sitting at Thanksgiving dinner and somebody says, pass the butter." You're like, "Oh, yeah, well, we can help you with that as well, right?"
Yeah.
And so, it's there are no such things in my world as accidents. There just aren't. There's no such things as coincidences. Every single thing in my world that happens for a reason. If it wasn't supposed to happen for a reason, then it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
To include me sitting, scrolling your predecessor for, for my Facebook ads,
Yeah.
right? And not seeing my Facebook ads, but seeing your ads. And while we're giving plugs, Beacon of Light, we also have I have another baby, Beacon of Light Consulting, and we have some programs in place that we will teach you, whoever you are, how to do what we do with reference to billing Medicaid. And we will not charge you one red penny. We only get paid on your futures, right? And I tell people, that in order to make this function properly, then we require, if I'm going to give you this program to include my P&Ps, and you know what a P&Ps are, policies
Oh,
and
yeah.
procedures. That's like the Bible. I mean,
The blueprint.
that's gold. It is the
Yeah.
blueprint, and
Yeah.
ours is rock solid. It includes our P&Ps. And we will custom make a. We'll use ours as a baseline, a template, if you will, and then assist you on exactly turnkey how to run an outpatient facility specializing in billing Medicaid. And part of that comes with me telling you, if I'm going to give you this program, then I'm going to insist that you use these vendors, not because I'm looking at making all this money, but because these are the vendors, yourself included, that know what they are doing,
Yes.
right? And so it's a great partnership. It's a great team. And quite frankly, if I'm being very honest and candid, um, this this podcast is a perfect example. To give you another plug, this podcast that you and I are doing right now, this was your idea to assist me in making sure that my podcasts are done properly. Is that what's happening? I mean, so for those of you
Yeah.
that are wondering about Lee and him helping an individual, I mean, this podcast that you're going to air,
Mhm.
right, was done because you said, Tony, because I did a podcast with what was his name, Dr. Kelly,
It was a
right?
great podcast.
Well,
Outside of him
okay.
being, outside the country, and then there's some internet issues, but the content in that was beautiful.
Well, the content was good, but the audio, and of course, Lee has given me a lot of, I was when I was a kid, people would criticize me, right? And I would take it as being criticized. And oftentimes, maybe they weren't criticizing me. Maybe they were just doing things to assist me. So when you, Lee, are telling me, "Hey, Tony, when you're doing your podcast, you've mentioned the volley," um, Lee has given us and me a lot of really good advice,
Mhm.
right? We'll call it that. But you're not saying these things because you're trying to criticize me. You're saying these things because you want me to be the best, because you know that when I'm the best and we're doing this and hitting on all eight cylinders, you know, because of what we do, that we're going to use all this to, you get it, help as many people as humanly possible. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. Teach people how to stay stopped,
Yes.
not to quit, but to stay stopped. And there's a difference. I can quit for 15 days. I can quit for 15 years. I want to stay stopped. And
Yeah.
that's the end goal, right? So
100%.
um, this has been another great addition. I don't know when you're going to air this one, but anything else you'd like to add as we get ready to wrap this up?
No, I appreciate the shout out. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and obviously the confidence that my team. I have an amazing team here, just like your team at Beacon. So obviously working, between you.
Yeah.
Shout out Maddie. Make sure she gets some love. Um,
She's
it's
not in
just
the room, so she can't hear you right now. She's
That's
not in the
fine.
room. She
That's
already
fine.
left.
She might watch this later, but your team, when you have people that really care, it
Yeah.
shows. I have an
Yeah.
amazing team. I have an amazing team. I'm very prideful in them. I can tell how you're prideful in your team and what you do. Um, I just appreciate anyone that's out there that's willing
Yeah.
to put in the time, the energy, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears into it. There's not a lot of glamour and glitz that go into it,
No.
but like you said earlier, the reward for that and what you're providing families, it just goes so much farther beyond anything. So if
Yeah.
there's anyone out there that's listening that knows someone who's struggling, knows someone that might need some resources, you have a lot at Beacon. You have so much at Beacon. That's
Yeah.
like what I went back to my team at Ascend and I said, guys, we can do a little bit more. Let's look at what they're doing over here and just
Yeah.
giving.
I'm flattered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're giving so much without asking for anything in return. And that's when we work with
Yeah.
clients. It's what we say you have to do. You have to give. You give and have the right heart and the right mindset and knowing
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I can speak to 1,000 people. If I can change one person's life, it's
That's
not just
it.
that one person. It's also their family. And
Yeah.
it just goes so farther beyond.
Well, since you brought it up years ago, I had I went to adult probation here in town. Those are the guys with handcuffs and guns that can arrest you, that kind of probation. And they toured the facility. He came back a couple of days later, getting ready to retire, said, "Hey, can I come volunteer?" I said, "Yes." I said to him, Clay was his name. I need somebody that has lived it and somebody that, because I'm looking for somebody. And he says, I arrested this gal years ago. Let me reach out to her. She was working down at 7-Eleven, I think making 12 to 4, some stupid amount of money.
Right.
And so this was somebody that he literally had arrested, I think multiple times. And so he brought Maddie in. And Maddie started off at Beacon Recovery at the ground, at the very bottom of, what we do at Beacon. I don't remember what it was. And I'm not trying to degrade her job. I think she started off
Like
as
a
a peer
tech.
sports specialist.
Yeah, peer
Peer
support
sports
tech. Yeah,
specialist.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Peer sports specialist. And then she, dang, she went from this, she went to this, and she went to that. She just and she started here, and now she's my director of operations. She runs the show, right? And
Yeah.
since you brought her, I mean, she's the real deal. I mean, she's yeah. So
Yeah.
you're gonna give a shout out to Maddie. Well, then I'm gonna just jump on that
Yeah.
bandwagon and say, and then she'll watch us eventually. And if I know Maddie, she's crying right now. Gotcha, because she feels it,
Right. You
right?
showed
She
her. It's what you
listen.
said earlier. It's what you said earlier, right?
Oh, she's
You showed her
yeah.
the light. She saw how
Well,
cool the other side of the pillow is.
well, she lost her husband. She lost her home. She lost her kids. She lost everything. Matter of fact, I think you know what? She's going to be a podcast
She
guest.
should
Now that
be.
I'm thinking,
I want to watch her
absolutely.
on the next one. I'm ready.
So she will be the next one. She doesn't know it right now, but the very next podcast is going to be Maddie because she's got
Perfect.
a fascinating story,
Mhm.
right? Because she lost everything, right? It just doesn't get any better. This is what we're talking about. So, Lee, I really do mean this. I'm not saying it because you're a guest on my podcast. I'm grateful that, I was divinely inspired to be looking at your ad on Facebook one day, right?
And like you said, everything happens for a reason, right?
No accidents. Yeah. So with that, we will close this episode of the Beacon of Light podcast, and you get to know whoever is watching that Lee's team edited this podcast. But what I'm hoping to do is that we don't have to do a whole lot of editing. It's just this is like a hybrid. It's not live, but we're not
Yeah,
doing a whole lot of editing. Yeah.
I agree.
All right, my friend. We'll
Thank
see
you
you.
so much.
Oh, by the way, can we talk later today? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I'm available. I'm available.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. All right, my friend. We'll see you.
Thank you.